Hello everyone and welcome back to another video about Assassin's Creed. So today I have a video for you guys. One of you suggested for me to do a video kind of talking about Assassin's Creed as a whole, because obviously I've done a lot about the individual parts of Assassin's Creed, and I did actually do a video talking about the series and stuff like that about a year ago. I don't think I'm gonna do it again, but I'm gonna go into a lot more detail because that video was quite short, and I thought I'd just do a big like uncut commentary sort of thing of me just kind of rambling on about the Assassin's Creed series and, you know, different aspects of it and how I think it can improve, how I think it's been, you know, bad in the past, and just literally my opinions on everything about Assassin's Creed that comes into my head within the time that I'm going to be recording this video. Now, I started Assassin's Creed, I started playing the series with the very first game, and everyone was super hyped for it. Like, it was on all the gaming TV shows and stuff that I used to watch. It was in all different game magazines and stuff like that. Everyone was super hyped for Assassin's Creed because it was kind of like Prince of Persia, but it looked a lot darker and a lot more realistic, and it was based on like real life events that happened. You have, you know, the assassins who actually exist and stuff like that, and it was kind of based on them, and it was a really cool, really awesome idea. And when the first Assassin's Creed game came out, Ubisoft laid the foundations for an amazing series that they will create, and it will become one of the biggest gaming series of like modern gaming today. It's insane. It's such a huge game, and it started with that little repetitive Assassin's Creed 1 that we all still love today. Then obviously you have the Ezio trilogy. That all kind of binds into one for me, but throughout the whole of the Ezio trilogy, Ubisoft had made a name for themselves, and they were known for Assassin's Creed, and they were building their company up and becoming more and more well known, until by the time Revelations was announced, the whole world was super hyped for it and couldn't wait for the next installment in the famous Assassin's Creed franchise. So they went from this little company releasing, you know, Assassin's Creed 1, and then the Ezio trilogy made them go big. And what made Assassin's Creed big, really, like Assassin's Creed 1 laid the foundations for the gameplay, laid the foundations for the story, but then the Ezio trilogy completely expanded on that, and there was a nice little bow tied on it at the end of Assassin's Creed Revelations, where it kind of tied Ezio and Altair's story and left Desmond to go on his own path and continue on his story. Now, everything was great. Everything was amazing. It was one of the most renowned series of the time. It was respected. Everyone loved it. Like, everyone loved Assassin's Creed. You mentioned Assassin's Creed, people are like, yeah, I love that series. It's really fucking awesome. People would pick up the games randomly. They wouldn't even need to play the story. They just know Assassin's Creed is good. I'm gonna pick that game up because it looks really fucking cool, and then they get into it. It was a really awesome game series that everyone respected and that everyone collectively enjoyed together. And I'd been on this journey like through the Ezio trilogy, through the first game, right from the beginning when I was 6 years old. And yeah, Assassin's Creed was a great series, and everything looked great for it. Everything looked like it was going great. Because, you know, everyone loved the Ezio games. I love the Ezio games. You know I love the Ezio games. Kind of sick of talking about Ezio all the time, considering we had the Ezio collection a few weeks ago, and, you know, obviously it came out a few months ago, but I was still playing it a few weeks ago. But, yeah, Ezio's my favourite character. The Ezio games are phenomenal games, and I love them because they all expanded on each other. Like Assassin's Creed 2 was expanded on by Assassin's Creed Brotherhood in terms of content, and then Brotherhood was expanded even more by Revelations. They added more into the world and more into the story and more in terms of characters, and it was fucking awesome. I just loved the Ezio games so much. But with the release of Assassin's Creed 3, that's when things kind of started to decline, in my opinion. You know, it kind of started getting worse. Assassin's Creed 3 was not the most interesting game ever. They went really far in the future in terms, you know, because the Ezio collection and the Ezio games were like in the 14 to 1500s, whereas Assassin's Creed 3 was set during the 1700s. So it was too far in the future, and it was kind of a boring setting to set the game in. Like, people are like, yeah, it's cool, nah, it's cool, but in my opinion, where Assassin's Creed 3 set isn't all that interesting at all, which is why it seems like such a boring game. And of course, we went from Ezio as the main protagonist, like assassin, to Connor, who is obviously a lot less charismatic than Ezio. He does have his good points. Connor's got his good points. You know, sometimes I enjoy him as a character, especially in things like the homestead missions that do actually flesh his character out a lot, but not enough, you know. But we went from Ezio, whereas everyone could relate to Ezio, and everyone was like, yeah, I love Ezio. We went to Connor, which is literally the complete opposite of what Ezio was. So it was kind of difficult to connect with his character. Like, there obviously were a select few people that were able to, you know, connect and were able to relate to his character. But as far as I'm concerned, the majority of the people liked characters like Ezio that were just like casual, comedic, quite funny, entertaining characters to play as. So we were in a boring kind of setting in which Boston and New York look exactly the same, then we have the frontier that's kind of filled with nothing, and we also have the main protagonist that is Connor, that is less relatable to the audience that were currently playing Assassin's Creed. On top of that, they decided at the end of the game to kill off the modern day main protagonist, Desmond, which brought about the end of modern day as we knew it. It brought about the shitty new modern day that came around, and it's still in the new Assassin's Creed games. They have not sorted out the modern day since Assassin's Creed 3, and that's why Assassin's Creed 3, in my opinion, was the beginning of the decline of the Assassin's Creed series. Obviously, I still love the series, I'll still buy the games each year, but in recent years, the games have not been as good as they were during the time of the Ezio games and the very first Assassin's Creed game. Although they're still pretty good games, like I still quite enjoy them, they're not as good as they were in previous years. But yeah, with the disappointment that was Assassin's Creed 3, because in my opinion, I thought Assassin's Creed 3 was going to be the best thing ever, because I had such high expectations after Assassin's Creed Revelations. I was super excited for Assassin's Creed 3, and it ended up being kind of washed out and kind of boring as a whole, and you know, it wasn't all that great. It's in my bottom 4 Assassin's Creed games of all time, and that's just because of the sheer fact that the main protagonist is quite boring, the settings are quite boring, and there's not an awful lot of fun stuff to do. It does have its good moments, I'm not gonna lie. Assassin's Creed 3, much like any other game, has its good moments, definitely, but overall, when I think of the game, it's boring to me. Now, after Assassin's Creed 3, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag was released, and that was a phenomenal game. It was phenomenal. It had amazing gameplay, had a revamped naval system, because obviously there was the naval in Assassin's Creed 3, but this whole game was naval based, and it had a kind of revamped system with more weapons and more maneuverability than ever before, and it was all great. The setting was awesome in the golden age of pirates. You know, it was looking great. You know, AC4 was a great game, and I still think it's in my top 4 games of Assassin's Creed today. It's so great. I could just play Assassin's Creed 4 right now. It's a great game. But one thing that it didn't do is it didn't capture the feeling of an Assassin's Creed game. Whereas it's a great game, it's a fucking phenomenal game, it just didn't capture the feel of Assassin's Creed, and it kind of feels almost disconnected. It is connected in terms of like the modern day, and kind of Edward did a lot for the assassins in his later age, but Black Flag as a whole wasn't good in terms of an Assassin's Creed game, if you understand what I mean. Now, you guys probably hear this a lot, because this is a lot of people's opinions in the Assassin's Creed community. It is a great game, but in terms of an Assassin's Creed game, it didn't do an awful lot for the series at all. All that was there was the observatory, and you know, it was kind of Edward's personal story, and how he wanted to become this rich man and plundered and stuff and became a pirate. And although I love all the characters in it, in terms of an Assassin's Creed game progressing the Assassin's Creed story as a whole, it didn't do much at all. Although it was better than Assassin's Creed 3, the game was so much better than Assassin's Creed 3, and this was kind of bringing the series back. After the disappointment that was Assassin's Creed 3, after everyone hyped it up, Black Flag brought the series back. It went on to next-gen consoles, and everyone loved it. Everyone loved Black Flag because it is an insanely fun game with amazing exploration, and it's fucking great. It's amazing. And, you know, when I was playing it, all I wanted to do was just plunder ships, because it was so fun. It was just so fun. I love that game to pieces. Like, Assassin's Creed 4 has been the best game in recent years. It's the best game since Assassin's Creed Revelations, and I'm prepared to say that 100%. I love Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Then, after Assassin's Creed 4 came out, Assassin's Creed Unity and Assassin's Creed Rogue were released on the same day. Now, Unity was unfinished, completely kind of a huge mess when it was first released. The co-op didn't really work because Ubisoft servers are always really, really shit. But nothing worked in the game. It was very buggy. The stealth didn't work very well. It still is fucking broken as fuck. And yeah, Unity, day one Unity is the worst Assassin's Creed game. I'm pretty sure everyone will agree with me. Unity, before any patches, before anything was added to it, day one Assassin's Creed Unity was the worst Assassin's Creed game, and possibly one of the worst games I've played ever. Like, it was awful. It was fucking terrible. But, you know, there are a few patches released for it, and the gameplay's been fixed. It still feels kind of broken, but you kind of just deal with it, because you know how what state the game was in before all the patches were released. You kind of just deal with the state the game's in. You just you know, make do with it, because overall it's quite a fun game. I quite enjoy it. It feels more like Assassin's Creed game than Syndicate does. But yeah, Unity is it's quite a fun game. It's quite a fun game. Now it's not so broken as it was. It's quite enjoyable, and I actually do enjoy making content on it. I do enjoy just playing it sometimes in my spare time if I want to get achievements and stuff. Unity was very unfinished, and it was nothing special in terms of Assassin's Creed. The story was alright. Actually, it was shit. The story was fucking shit. And, you know, the story and the whole game in general was actually pointless. And it added nothing. Unity added literally nothing. Like, I don't know what Unity added. I don't think it added anything to the Assassin's Creed story whatsoever. And then Rogue was released as well. Rogue, in my opinion, it did have the same fun gameplay that Black Flag had, which I enjoyed. Had the same exploration, obviously in a different setting. It wasn't as good as Black Flag, because Black Flag's setting was a lot better, the characters were better. But Rogue feels incredibly disconnected, in my opinion, because Shay doesn't really exist, because Assassin's Creed 3 was released before Rogue, obviously, and Shay is never mentioned in that game at all. So they suddenly introduced Shay, involved him with Haytham and all those Templars, and, you know, he kind of feels like he's not a real person, because technically in Assassin's Creed 3's world he wasn't at that time, because they hadn't even begun making Rogue yet. Like, they hadn't even begun to make Rogue when Assassin's Creed 3 was being made. So that's why Shay doesn't feel like a real person, because technically in the Assassin's Creed 3 universe, I mean, when Assassin's Creed 3 was made, he wasn't even thought of, because he wasn't a real character yet. To be honest, I don't really like Shay an awful lot. He feels very uninteresting. He's just kind of there for the sake of it. And as I said before, he feels completely disconnected, feels like not a real person. So if he feels completely disconnected, then I'm not going to like him as much as other characters. In my opinion, his character doesn't hold an awful lot of merit at all. I do know people love him though, people love Shay's character, and you guys are completely entitled to that, obviously. But personally, I don't like him. And, you know, the release of Unity, everyone thought after Black Flag things were going to be great, because Black Flag was such a great game. But it seems that Unity dragged the series back down into the dirt again, and people, you know, started slandering the game for not being finished. The game was buggy, obviously, and it still is to this day, and everyone kind of made Ubisoft get a bad name. You know, it started off Ubisoft's bad name, because beforehand they would make great games that kind of were really fun, and they worked well, and there was not really any problems at all. And then with the release of Unity, their new Anvil Next engine fucked everything up, and everyone started complaining about how Ubisoft was a really lazy company and everything's fucked. And yeah, Unity was definitely the fall of the Assassin's Creed series. Like, it's where the series began to decline a lot, and, you know, the story, the modern day, all the aspects that we loved about Assassin's Creed before were just gone. They were completely gone. Like, the story's become incredibly convoluted, and the modern day is non-existent, and I don't know what's going on. And then, obviously, as you all know, Assassin's Creed Syndicate was released in the November, or the October, I don't actually remember, of 2015, and it seems like they fixed all the bugs that were in Unity, and it felt like they were rebuilding the series. Although the story wasn't awfully compelling, and there was a lack of interesting characters, it felt like Assassin's Creed Syndicate was them picking up the pieces, and you know, they were beginning to piece the Assassin's Creed series back together again, because it seemed like they'd learned from a few of their mistakes. They attempted to make a good game with that, and obviously Assassin's Creed Syndicate was transferred to Ubisoft Quebec, I think, halfway through development. Correct me if I'm wrong. Halfway through development, it was transferred to Ubisoft Quebec, and that obviously would have affected the production of the game as a whole. So, you know, Syndicate definitely felt like they were taking a step in the right direction, trying to make a good game for everyone, and picking up the pieces that was shattered on the ground after Assassin's Creed Unity was released. And also, something that didn't work in the favour of Assassin's Creed Syndicate was the setting. They had the rope launcher, which was literally a necessity. The setting wasn't awfully interesting. It was kind of a lot of brown hues. One thing they did do well, they made it feel like the city was like alive. Like the city felt like it was living in Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which was awesome because it felt like a running city. Like, you know, everything was fucking cool. But yeah, one thing I didn't like about Victorian London also was the fact that the rope launcher was a 100% necessity, and the buildings were so spaced apart, so you'd spend a lot of the time flying around with the rope launcher, which was a huge bad part about the game. Like for sure, don't set it in a place in which you need to use a rope launcher to be able to traverse the environment in a quick way. Like, don't do that, it's a bad idea. But they did they literally did the best they could with the setting they were given and the time they were given to make the game, and I think everyone did a great job on Assassin's Creed Syndicate. It was definitely a step in the right direction, and was them trying to fix the series, and hopefully the next Assassin's Creed game will be even better. You know, they decided we're going to take a year off of making Assassin's Creed games. You can't really count the Ezio collection because that actually wasn't developed by Ubisoft. It was developed by someone else. I don't actually remember what their name is. But yeah, Ubisoft, they seem to know what they're doing now. They're taking a year off. You know, all of our videos going up, hopefully they've watched our videos on Empire that we released last year, and hopefully they're taking a lot of the stuff we want into consideration, and hopefully they will make an amazing game this year, and they'll announce it soon, and everything will be fucking awesome. You know, I really feel like Ubisoft know what they're doing now, and if they take into consideration everything me, James, Ethan, Tyler, Nick, everyone in the community has said collectively, all our ideas, because we all kind of agree with each other, if they take all that into consideration, there's no way they can go wrong. And then obviously there's the equation of Ashraf Ismail plus Darby McDevitt writing the game plus 1 year off equals a perfect game. Like, Black Flag was amazing. Black Flag was a phenomenal game in terms of gameplay. The story wasn't so great, but it was a great game in terms of gameplay. But now I've got Darby McDevitt writing the story, so the story cannot be bad. It cannot be bad because Darby McDevitt is a genius writer, and the gameplay cannot be bad because Ashraf Ismail is a great game director. Like, he's great. He made Black Flag, and he knows what the fans want. He goes on Twitter, he asks people what they like in an Assassin's Creed game. He does all that good stuff, interacts with people, and gets opinions from the fans. And, you know, he does a phenomenal job. So there's literally no way the next Assassin's Creed game can be bad. I'm thinking about it. How can it be bad? How the fuck can the next Assassin's Creed game be bad? I don't know. I have no idea at all. Well, I've been rambling for a long time. There's nothing else I can talk about. I thought I'd just make this video. It's been a lot longer than my usual videos. I've kind of rambled on for a lot. But I wanted to give you guys my opinions on the Assassin's Creed series as a whole, because some of you did recommend I made a video like this. I did do a video last year about this, but it was a whole year ago when I didn't really have, it was weird. Like, I didn't have developed enough opinions about things on the series, and also it was a really short video and wasn't awfully in depth at all. So I hope this covers everything, and all your thoughts on what my thoughts on the Assassin's Creed series are. And yeah, there's not much else I can talk about. Hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to go ahead and like and subscribe for more Assassin's Creed content in the future, and also remember to comment down in the comment section below what you thought of the video and what your opinions on the Assassin's Creed series are, and whether or not you think it will come back. I think Assassin's Creed will come back. There's no way Empire can be bad with the people that are behind it, and I'm super excited for the future of Assassin's Creed, and I hope you guys are too, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!